Monday morning. It is July the 1st, and this is Coffee Talk. I'm WESH 2 First Warning Meteorologist Eric Burris. Thanks for joining us. Obviously, the big story, at least in the weather world, is Hurricane Beryl. It is a beast of a hurricane. I'm a few seconds later than I wanted to be because had to get that 8 a.m. advisory, and that's the visible satellite imagery. The storm system underwent an eye wall replacement cycle overnight and got more intense. Now, couple things. This is not seemingly going to be a threat for us in Florida, but the reason that we're adding coverage is because I want to make sure you know exactly what's happening in the tropics. The tropics kind of like my shtick. So we'll get to Hurricane Beryl. We'll look at recon data. We'll even look at some microwave data to really give you a sense of how different the storm system is right now versus last night, coming up in just a few seconds' time. But I still am a Central Florida meteorologist, so we at least need to get a lay of the land. But throughout Coffee Talk, you will have the very latest hits, runs, and errors with Hurricane Beryl in that bottom left corner, including the very latest cone, okay? Port Canaveral, beautiful morning this morning. Temperatures out the door across Central Florida are comfortable. There are a few showers there off the Gulf Coast that will eventually kind of help to get our activity going today. Temperatures in the mid and upper 70s. Forecast for us looking good. We will get showers and storms. I forget I've got my little inset box, which means I have to use the half screen version of this. 91 by lunchtime, 91 degrees our 3 p.m. temperature. And yeah, we'll get showers and thunder showers around. So there's that. But again, back to Beryl. Hurricane hunters are inside this storm system as we speak. And that's the reason for the upgrade. Let me get you the latest recon data from the hurricane hunters. And there are two aircraft inside the storm system as we speak. There's a NOAA P-3 and there's a United States Air Force C-130 aircraft in there, okay? Notice, and of course, you know, it's one of those things that when I was looking at a few minutes ago, this is the winds, okay? And what we found in the first pass earlier were that the winds were a little bit lower. So it's indicating that the storm system is getting stronger. And in addition, of course, pressure is dropping from this. Let's look at the pressure data. And these are not pretty great. I don't know who. So we got 957, we got 957, 136, 142. So these are not pretty graphics, but they do the trick. And if I was in the weather center, I'd probably try to make them pretty. But in this case, it's fine. It does the job. So as these recon flights keep buzzing through, the idea is tracking and seeing, are these winds kind of coming up? Where are they? Blue is one aircraft, red is another. So you've got to understand that there's some, you know, they may not be going through the exact same spot. So it's not showing weakening, but rather they're kind of on that same level. Okay. So the storm system is getting stronger. One thing I'd like to do, and this is something we just don't show like on TV, but it's one of those like fascinating things. So this is microwave data, okay? And the reason it cuts is because we only get so much data from these things, you know, every couple of hours or so. But I want you to notice how the eye wall replacement cycle from yesterday to today. Look at the sheer size of the core of the storm difference. 1, 2, right? So eye wall replacement cycles, if you're not like a tropical aficionado, when you develop an eye, the only way to get stronger is to kind of shed that eye and build a new one around and clear it back out. And then if you want to get stronger, you have to start building another, shed that eye and let this one take over. So smaller, larger, right? So that's what happened yesterday. And usually eye wall replacement cycles take about a day and a half. But because it kind of was just getting going, the first eye wasn't necessarily like laser focused, rock solid. Because of that, it was able to do it a little quicker and very efficiently. And so to that point, what's particularly interesting about Hurricane Beryl is the fact that we've really not seen this type of a storm this early in the season. And so I feel like the computer models may be struggling a little bit with that idea. So, could this be a system that eventually becomes a Cat 5 later today, tomorrow? It certainly is possible. Winds are at 130. It's moving pretty quick. The west northwest at about 20 miles an hour. So let's do this. Let's look at the official forecast cone. I've had it in the bottom left corner for a bit, but I haven't gotten it full screen for you. So let's look at the official forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center, okay? And let's discuss this. So first and foremost, I see a couple of people asking, could this be coming to us? And the answer, thankfully, is it does not look like that's going to be the case. All right, so where then does it go? Let's zoom in and just kind of get an idea. So first off, the southern Windward Islands today are going to really get a hit like they've not seen in quite some time. That's not good news. That's not something I like to talk about. That's not something that any of us want, but it's going to be moving through as a major category 4 hurricane more than likely. And depending if this intensification continues, it could be even stronger. I was talking to a colleague of mine. I'm not going to say this person's name just because it's not for me to share, but one of my colleagues' parents are down there in one of these islands. And so this colleague was asking all about the storm system. And so it's kind of like one of those things. The last time this area got hit was several decades ago, and certainly with a storm system like this, there is concern that this could be a significant impactor. Okay. After it clears the Windward Islands, it continues into the Caribbean. And the thought is that there's enough wind shear here that it should gradually weaken the storm system. It will stay um, sufficiently south of Puerto Rico. It will stay sufficiently south, at least the core, the worst of the storm, south of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. But then we get close to Jamaica. Then we get close to the Cayman Islands. And then eventually we work right over toward like Tulum, south of, we'll say like Belize, Mexico border there. Late Thursday into Friday, and then into the Bay of Campeche, and eventually into Mexico. Now, what about the spaghetti model plots? What are the tropical models showing beyond this point? Like, can confidence and all of that sort of thing. There's the model plots. You've kind of got this idea that first off, like incredible model consistency from now through about Belize, Mexico. After that, most models are wanting it to drive further to the west. Some models yesterday were kind of talking about a little bit of a recurvature, and it's at least something worth watching, right? But notice there is not any kind of an indication that it should be a threat to us. Here in Florida, we've got high pressure protecting us for now, so that is certainly some comforting news. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the wind data coming in from the islands. These are recent wind gusts, okay, from the islands. And also, like, we're using 1 minute, hold on a second. We're using 1 minute 1 minute goes satellite imagery. So what you're seeing is every frame is 1 minute, which is remarkable. All right. So in terms of kind of what we're looking at here, right? You've got some decent wind gusts there from Barbados, but getting over toward like the Grenadines, Grenada, right? St. Vincent, St. Lucia. Those are going to be some areas that are going to be getting a significant hit today. Wind speeds, these are kind of sustained winds coming in off the islands there. And I would suspect that this is going to go up. Sustained winds in Barbados are at 40. We saw gusts again. If I were to go back here, we saw gusts 52. Did I have a 60? 52? All right, so it was just 52. And then it's gusting down around like Scarborough, for example, and Tobago there, gusting a little higher. But we'll watch and see, as this eye gets closer. And frankly, like the satellite imagery to me is just remarkable, right? Just remarkable there. But Grenada elevation is going to play in. So some folks that are on the lower elevations there, they're going to have to deal with storm surge. Folks in the higher elevations are going to just get blasted with wind energy. And about the only thing that could really help Grenada at this point is if this path were to bring the actual core of the storm just a little further to the north. The worst part of the storm is going to be this northern eye wall in here. And it's wild. You can almost see the ripples. Do you see those ripples like gravity waves? I mean, the 1 minute we just launched Goes You from the Kennedy Space Center, and it's remarkable the kind of data we get from this Goes R series of satellites, right? Hold on. Okay, so wow. Wind speeds are increasing 20 knots in the last hour and a half. So they're showing what could be like a rapid intensification cycle. I'm just reading some data coming out from various researchers in the hurricane world. All right. But essentially, yeah, the best we could hope for Grenada. Now, this is just being selfish to Grenada, right? Bigger island, more population there. But like Curacao, it all just depends on where you are, right? But essentially, if the core of the storm passes just north of Grenada, that would be a better caveat. Whereas if that were to be the case, um, what is it, Canuan? Is that how you say that island? I'm not great on the island name, so forgive me. But either way, this is going to be an area that's going to have quite an impact today. All right. Any questions about where we are for right now? Renesta says it's starting to pick up in St. Lucia. Well, certainly. I mean, there's a major hurricane in the vicinity there. Eric Hunter says, my nephew is on honeymoon in St. Lucia. Can you tell me anything about it? I mean, at this point in time, listen, at this point in time, it's just a matter of watching and seeing how this ends up playing out, right? St. Lucia's far enough north that the hope is that the eye wall will miss St. Lucia. That's the hope. Get some gusty winds there, but that's the hope, at least for right now. Yukon says some of those islands may not be recognizable after this, may not ever rebuild the little ones. The colleague that I have that has family there in Grenada had mentioned how it took them a long time to rebuild after, I don't remember the storm, but it was like 04, 05 that blasted through there. And this is probably going to be among the same lines for some areas. Cindy says, wow, you can see it breathing. It's true. Look at that satellite imagery. These things, first off, if that's not a proof positive that the atmosphere is fluid, I don't know what is. But also, with the dynamics, you can literally see fluidity in motion. So it's just incredible. Mickey's asking, can we look at Barbados radar? So I was looking. The nearest radar data that I've got is well north. That's what I've got. And granted, I didn't have a ton of time to look this morning, but that's the radar data that I have, which is it's not gonna do the trick. So yeah, I don't have any great radar data through there, but that satellite image is just unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah. So there's the storm system. All right. Questions about this? We talked about where it should be going. We can look at some kind of computer model, and we'll look at some computer models on where Beryl's going. But I also want to introduce you to Invest 96, and then we can look at all of the models. Chrissy's asking, is there a chance it's going to turn sooner? We'll look at the models. We'll look at the models. Yeah. Boy, it almost looks like that eye. It's like, is the eye trying to get smaller, or you know what? I can actually switch from infrared. I want to look at, is the eye trying to contract a little bit? So give me a minute. Let me switch over to the infrared on that same channel there. Give it a second. Give it a second. Oh, that's an ugly color palette. Hold on. Okay. So that's the infrared. Yeah. Okay. So the infrared does kind of show it's cleaning up that eye. Yeah. So this is the last hour cleaning up that eye, finishing up the eye wall replacement cycle. Man. And that's something. Mm. Yeah. All right. All right. So that's Beryl. Any questions about Beryl before Beryl's current status? We'll look at the Futurecast models. We'll look at all the models on the tropics, but I don't want to just, I want to go from Beryl and show the other storm system because you're going to see two on satellite imagery. Okay. All right. So there's Beryl. Behind Beryl, let me just introduce you to Invest 96. Doesn't look like a ton right now. Over the next few days' time, 70% likelihood of tropical formation. We think that this secondary storm system will become something by midweek. So to familiarize yourself with where we are, that's Beryl. This is 96, which could become the next storm system. Okay. All right. So that said, then let's look at the computer forecast models together here. All right. And I'm going to try and let's do this. Let's just do it super, super, super simple. Tropical models. Let's start with our Futurecast model. 6Z is going to be the most recent run, I believe. So there's Futurecast. And I'll just zoom it in. Now, Futurecast is a higher resolution grid. It also is a tighter grid, so we don't run it around the windwards, but we do run it south of Puerto Rico because we have friends and family down there, right? So there's Beryl, and very clearly, Futurecast is not messing around. Futurecast is like, no, it's going to be a major hurricane this entire time. Okay, Viviana, I'm in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. What should I expect? So right here, that's the storm system passing by very near you there. Some gusty winds, but thankfully, at least our Futurecast model keeps the core of the storm well south of you. All right. Notice, though, Futurecast has trended south of Jamaica there, right? And keeps it, and that's as far out as Futurecast goes, but it keeps it south of the Caymans, though it does throw some pretty good winds at the Caymans. So at least there's that. This is our model. Notice it does not bring the storm to Florida, thankfully. That's the 6Z round. I don't think the 12Z has started. Let me just open it up and see. All right, so we've got some data from the 12. The 12Z is just initializing. All right, let's look at the GFS 6Z. All right. Now, the GFS has the full grid, so that's great. All right, so first, let's just kind of zoom and see where the GFS is initializing motion through. So the GFS is kind of throwing it just north of Grenada. All right, and then after that, kind of pulls it out into the Caribbean. Really does want to keep it incredibly powerful, which is remarkable. South of Puerto Rico. Now, the GFS model does want to bring it a little closer to Hispaniola. Probably in Hispaniola is going to seem gusty on the second, right? But it doesn't look like it's going to be any kind of a direct hit, which is certainly good there. All right, Cindy, with a storm this size, with those tiny islands, have much stormland interaction? Not really, Cindy. I mean, there's elevation, so there's going to be something, but it's not going to be a significant land sea type interaction there. Yeah. All right. So as that moves through, first off, also notice as that moves through, enter into the picture on the right side. There's that second storm system. Another thing that's interesting is the GFS this morning is wanting to bring whatever Beryl is at that point, like right to Jamaica, which is not like if we look at the National Hurricane Center's forecast, right? Stand by. If we look at the National Hurricane Center's forecast, they are south of Jamaica. The GFS is not. So, the GFS is one model run of one model, so it's important to at least point that out. And then what you have there on the right side is what would become whatever the next. At this point, I've already forgotten names. We have Chris. So 2024, what's the next name? Can't even keep track of this. Debbie. All right, so nobody's updated this graphic, so let me update this graphic. Beryl. Beryl. Hold on. Beryl made it up to Cat 4 intensity. Chris was a tropical storm. Okay. So there we go. All right, this graphic is updated. So the next name on the list is Debbie. This is why I love when people are like, soon to be Chris, soon to. You don't know that there's not going to be another storm sneaking out and developing earlier yet, putz. That's a soapbox I'll die on. All right. So anyway, you've got Beryl near Jamaica, and you've got Invest 96 crossing into the northern Windward Islands. And at least according to this GFS run, you'd have kind of some gustier winds around Puerto Rico, gustier winds around Cuba from Beryl. Beryl goes into the Yucatan, kind of just some gusty winds. Widen this out. There's Beryl out in the in like the southern Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, and then thankfully nothing too like powerful, terrifying, that kind of a thing. And then whatever Chris is kind of works over toward Texas. That's the 6Z run of the GFS. I am curious to look back at the GFS. Let me look at the 00Z. I just want to compare current run to previous run just to kind of get an idea where the GFS has shifted. It's got to go get the data, so give it a second. All right, so the GFS was Jamaica as well there. Interesting. But it was much further south past the Yucatan. Okay. Yeah, just interesting to look at. All right, European time. 6E run. I don't know that the 6E run of the European has even started yet, so we may have to go full on. Okay, so we do have some of the 6E run. All right, let's. Now, the 6E run of the European does not go out very far. It only goes out, I believe it's 90 hours, but we can at least look at 90 hours worth, and then we can go back to the 00Z, which is the previous run. South of Puerto Rico. Look at the Windward Islands here. Look at how the winds, look at that. Talk about fluidity in the atmosphere. You see how there's a wake in the wind field from the Windward Islands? Isn't that amazing that the model picks up on that? All right. The Euro does not want to really develop Invest 96 much, but it does really want to bring, interesting, it really does want to bring the system much closer to Jamaica than it had yesterday. And thankfully, at least it keeps it south of the Caymans for the most part, and then that's as far out as it goes. But you can still see, which is kind of interesting, right? Is that it keeps it as a significant hurricane heading toward, like, the Yucatan, Belize, that sort of thing. So interesting. So that's where we're at in terms of models. Okay. In terms of ensemble plots, let's dial that in. First off, when it comes to Beryl, let's look at the GFS ensembles, and then we can dial in and look beyond. So there's the GFS ensembles for Beryl. Let me shift this view over a little bit. The data comes in automatically. The views do not change automatically. There's some magic that you can apply, but some magic you can't. Okay, we'll save that. All right, that's the GFS ensembles. Let's pull up the European ensembles. All right, so I think we've got a pretty good idea, honestly. I think we've got a pretty good idea of where Beryl is going to want to go, right? Let's pull up, just for comparison purposes, all of the ensembles and the National Hurricane Center's cone. Yeah, I think the Hurricane Center is doing a fantastic job here. I think they're doing a great job. The big question to me at this point is going to be which island gets the actual brunt of Beryl, and then beyond that, what exactly atmospherically happens with the system behind Beryl, which is Invest 96, right? Remarkable storm system. Okay. That's where we're at. Let's check the recon data, reset things around. Catch up on these comments. These comments are flying by, and I apologize. Let's see here. All right. You don't that yet, you putz. Should be t-shirt that I sell. I don't what that? What? All right. Oh my God. You see that, Noah? See that, Noah data? that NOAA data would indicate that the storm system is getting stronger. Now, is that point suspect, or is it still, is it higher end Cat 4? But, if you look at NOAA's punch there versus NOAA's punch there, that would indicate that the storm system is continuing to strengthen. This is why you always consistently check back with the recon, just to kind of get an idea. But NOAA did just punch through that northern eye wall there. So it looks to me like we continue to see this storm strengthening. You guys were talking about outlier models and how they've shifted back. Remember, with recon data, we take this data, plug it into the models, and that gives us a much better handle on things. The more data you can put into the computer models, the better. You don't know that yet. Your putts should be on a shirt. I love it. I love it. Carrie says, "Oh, my phone lines at NCL are going to be crazy." There's that. Yeah. Yukon, so this is raw SFMR data, which if I SFMR wins. Stepped frequency microwave radiometer. Measurement of hurricane surface wind field and a particular estimation of wind maxima. So that's what we're plotting there. So it's raw data. So you kind of have to QC it. You have to QC it. Don't go freaking out on it being a Cat 5. I see you, Paul. Mary, I see you. Don't do that. The recon mission can mark it as suspect or what have you. It may be calibrated a little higher. I'm plotting raw. I'm not looking at that as much as I'm looking at, okay, NOAA's previous to NOAA's most recent showed the wind coming up. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the trends there. Is it trending higher? That sort of a thing. So based on that, one would suspect that it could continue to be getting stronger. Which, frankly, I mean, just by looking at the core of the storm system itself, that would absolutely make sense, right? Yeah. The models and data are pretty impressive. Lauren Wells says, I love the data from the new GOES-U. So actually, this is not the GOES-U. This is GOES-U is just the most. It's going to take like 4 or 5 months to get GOES-U into its parking orbit. So this is all. GOES-U is real. If I'm honest, GOES-U's biggest thing is going to be looking at the sun, and it's going to be. This is all of the same stuff that we've had for a few years on the GOES-R generation of satellites, which GOES-U is. But like this is new data every minute. Seriously, every minute. Let me quiet down visible from brighter to just visible. Yeah, brighter's fine. So anyway, we've had 1 minute data for a few years now, but GOES-U is just adding another version of this, right? Yeah, I would think there needs to be a few more reference points to get to Cat 5, maybe a strong Cat 4, 145. Well, where is it right now? Let's take a look, okay? 130 is the last official advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Pressure's at 959. So do they up it? Do they up it to 135 or to 140? We'll have to watch these next few. But I would suspect that the Hurricane Center is going to probably not waste much time if they need to up the winds just a little bit. Because remember, this is just because it's not bearing down on us, it's still bearing down on people, right? And there are hurricane warnings and watches and things like that that are in effect. Right? So they're going to do what they can to warn people as best as possible. Even though this doesn't fall under the United States purview of responsibility, Hurricane Center still wants the National Hurricane Center is still the gold standard for these things, right? And so they're going to want to do what they can to warn people as best they can. Okay? Let's see here. Yeah. It has 1 day to strengthen, then it runs into shear. And it looks like it's wanting to take advantage of that day of strengthening, right? Cindy says tropical cloud formation is hypnotizing. I mean, it really is remarkable. It really is remarkable. They did do a special advisory last night to upgrade it. Wouldn't be surprised if they do another special one to upgrade to a 5 just to get the word out there. Cindy, well, if the data is there, remember, what we're looking at on that SFMR is raw data, and you cannot take it at face value. You have to understand the limitations of this equipment, things like that. So that's all I would say is don't don't see that and think to yourself like, there's the ball game. There's more to it than that. I'm just looking at, you know, hold on a second. Now I am curious to see one thing here. Somebody had asked about cruise ships, and I would not expect there to be any cruise ships anywhere near. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at, this is a website that, hold on. So this is a website that that may not work. There's no cruise ships anywhere near. The nearest ship to this it's St. Croix. It's Rhapsody of the Seas. It's in very safe distance away, so that's not a problem. Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing around Grenada. There's nothing around Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yeah, there's nothing around there. Just looking at cruise ships. Just for those that were asking. No cruise ships around there. Right? All right. So, kind of interesting stuff. When looking at the data available. So recent winds, and here's the gusts. Certainly will be losing things. And the problem too is just being that it's not the United States where we get the same kind of data. I can't promise that I'm going to have like great power outage data and things like that. So anyway, all right. Questions, comments, concerns. Definitely looking like peak hurricane season, whether or not it is. It's looking that direction. Mickey says those mesovortices are hypnotizing. It's true. It's true. It's just wild. It's just wild. Yeah, the eye looks to be getting smaller and tighter. I mean, it is. If you the visible satellite shows a certain element of it, but switching over to the infrared, it kind of changes the game a little bit. If I switch over to the 1 minute mesoscale and I turn off this ugly color table, blah, there. But you can see clearing the eye and it getting its act together. Yeah. X-Rock Radio. Hi, as Beryl churns up the ocean and brings cooler water to the surface, are you seeing weaker 96 as it follows? Hey, Pamela. Yeah, the models have definitely backed off on development intensity with 96, which is the system behind Beryl. So yeah, definitely can confirm that. All right. Our weather for the day today, it looks to have some lowered rain coverage today. Here. Stand by. Here's our rain coverage for today. Give it a second. My computer's like, I give up, man. I give up. Yeah. Yeah. So shower, thunderstorms around. Yeah. It's not going to be as high of a coverage. Overall rain coverage today. Oh my gosh. Stop, computer. That. Overall rain coverage today a bit lower. No, I'm not on vacation. Today is my day off. I have a new schedule, so I'm off Sundays and Mondays now. So yeah, so today is a day off for me. Yep. All right. Any other questions? Do you think this will have another eyewall replacement cycle to expand its wind field the next couple of days? So the thing is, the next couple of days it runs into some wind shear. So to that point, I would say that it's got a better opportunity to kind of weaken a little bit. It should be around peak intensity. Yeah. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? With the weakening of 96, could it pull north, or will the high pressure still be in place? The high pressure should still be in place, and then this is far enough back. 96 is far enough back to not weaken the high pressure, so we should be protected. So that's the good news. All right. Yeah. Let me just give me 2 seconds. Do this. Jamie's asking about tracking the tropics tomorrow. Yes, we will be. Jeremy and I will be doing a tracking the tropics today for sure. Hold on a second. My computer's being a putz. Oh, thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Just want to make sure everybody's updated. That's all. What is the size of Beryl? I can give me a second and I can look at that. I'm getting new glasses today. No, I think I may try to maybe resize these. They hurt the size. These are the glasses I wore during, was it Ian or Nicole? Like I haven't worn these on a regular basis since Ian or Nicole. I don't remember which it was, but yeah. Is this the strongest B name storm on record? Eigavolt. I'd have to go back and look. I'd have to go back and look. Yeah. All right. So for today, let me remove the box. 30% coverage of showers and storms. Hold on. The July 4th logo's on the wrong day. Let me fix that. There we are. All right. 30%. I think I said 60 earlier. I've loaded the wrong graphic. Apologies. But 30% coverage of storms today. Rain coverage kind of goes up a little bit the next couple of days. But yeah, a little bit of Saharan dust kind of sneaking in our direction. Okay. Evan says, I'm traveling to Jamaica on Wednesday. What should I do? I mean, if I'm honest with you, there's going to be a hurricane in the area, on Wednesday. Let me just pull up the forecast cone. Wednesday you're going to have a there's your forecast. So you're traveling there on Wednesday. I don't know that many airlines are going to be doing that. Yeah. Wendy says that Jamaica flight will probably be canceled. I would suspect so. I would suspect so. Probably not the best of days for that. I'm in Grenada. I imagine it's going to be unspeakable the damage that'll be done. Joker on YouTube is saying. I would say it's going to be a rough one, man. I mean, honestly, it's all going to depend. Look, the question then comes, do you get the worst of the weather? It depends on the exact pathway that eye goes. If you end up on the northern eye, if it kind of just like jogs around, if you get the southern eye wall, it's going to be rough. If you get that northern eye wall, it's going to be rough and then some, right? So that's where we're at. Oh God, John says Spirit Airlines will fly there. No airline will fly in truly dangerous weather. All right. But yeah, can you update us on Tropical Storm Chris before you go? Chris. Yes, we can do that. Chris is not a factor to Central Florida. Making me go find graphics. I don't even know if Kellyanne did. Here's Tropical Storm Chris. It's ashore. It's a tropical depression now. Winds are 35. There it is. Not a factor to Central Florida. I can't believe they named that. But I digress. All right. Who's the next name after Chris? Yes. The next name is Debbie. All right. All right. So, any questions, comments, concerns? What a remarkable, remarkable hurricane this Beryl is. Just really something else to look at. Really, really something else. Look around eye wall, very much an eye. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's absolutely an eye. Yeah. Yep. They did it to pad the stats, Mike's saying. I'm not going to say yes or no, other than when I woke up and saw they named that thing Chris, I literally laughed out loud. But I digress. Gyrocane. Cag storm. All right. That's all I got for you, people. So 7-day forecast, thankfully showing a relatively low end coverage of showers and storms today. But the rain chances will be on the increase these next couple of days. All right. All right, sound good? I will still be posting on Facebook and Twitter, even if I'm not live. Kids are home from school for the summer, so I gotta make it. Every day's got to be an adventure here. Every day's got to be an adventure. Matt, I'm sorry, I forgot. Every day's got to be an adventure with these boys, so I have to cook up some sort of an adventure. I don't have the size of Irma offhand, so Matt, I'm going to leave that up to you to go find. But you asked for this, I'll give you this. From Martinique. I mean, it's 307. I don't think it's Irma size, but that's where we're at right now. About almost 400. Oh, sorry, you have to see it. It's about 400 or so miles. That's kind of the size of it right now. Yeah. Jenny, is it me or does the eye look like it was trying to recycle? It recycled last night. That's why we've got a beast right now. Yeah. Oh, one last thing before I go. Let's just double check the recon data before I go. Lucas says Irma was 425. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, this is a fairly, as far as hurricanes go, this is because it's just kind of getting its act together. It's a fairly lower-ish end. Yeah. All right. So NOAA has done their thing. So everybody's flying outbound at the moment. It'll be interesting to see when we get the next core punch going to see if we're trending back on an upward direction. But as we had pointed out just a couple of minutes ago, like NOAA's first core punch, NOAA's second core punch. I'm not saying that that's going to end up being Cat 5, but rather, because there could be calibration issues or what have you. All I'm looking at is the same piece of equipment went higher on the most recent push. So when NOAA goes back in, when the United States Air Force goes back in, it'll be interesting to see if it goes up or if it goes down. Jared says, where does he stream? He's not answering questions here on Facebook. He's got almost 2,000 people asking a bunch of questions. He's doing the best he can. Sorry. I really am doing the best I can, man. I'm like Visa, baby. I stream everywhere you want to be. So, anyway. Next update, official update, will be the 11 a.m. full advisory. We'll get a new cone then. Yeah, there's recon flights, all that fun stuff. All right. Make some homemade slime with kids. It'll be a science event. That's not a bad idea. I know we're doing the pool today. After that, I have to figure it out. Yeah. There are over 300 views on YouTube. That's a lot. Yeah. We've got almost 2,000 from all of it. And I love it. And I appreciate anybody that's watching. I'm just not going to be perfect at reading the comments because it's going through faster than my emotions when I don't sleep. Splash pad, 100%. Yeah. Jared says, I'm on a cruise 300 miles or meters north of Aruba trying to stay updated. Of course, I got you, Jared. If I don't answer questions, I'm doing the best I can. So apologies. Yeah. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. Now you have my full attention. All right. Questions, comments, concerns on this. This should not be threatening us in Central Florida. The good news is the models have backed off on Chris being much of a bother for us. So there's that good too. Yeah. Irma's winds went out 400 from center roughly. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely different. William says I look younger in red. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Christy, Legoland. Listen, this house turns into friggin' Legoland every time I bring that box out. Legoland I want to do is like a trip because it's a schlep and, yeah. Janelle's asking, how bad for Barbados? The good news is that I really don't think it's going to be too bad for Barbados. They are getting some gusty winds there for sure. Look at that, though. Like gusting, you see this? That last one gusting to 69 miles an hour. And that's, you look at the distance. Let me just hit that. That's 69, and that's from the eye. You're talking almost 100 miles, and it's gusting to 69. So yeah, it's. I mean, that's why hurricanes are more than just points on a map, right? Yeah. I'm smack in the middle of the Dominican Republic. When storms lose strength, do they tend to widen? Trying to see what we need to prepare for. The wind fields can widen. Yeah, I mean, I would say for the Dominican Republic, some gusty winds and some rain. Hopefully nothing more than that, but that's kind of where we're at right now. Yeah. What about Belize? Trying to see if we need to cancel next week. I would say there's a pretty good chance of some nasty weather no matter what moving your direction, right? I mean, the forecast cone brings it directly that direction. So I would suspect probably not a good day. Look, I mean, I just cruised through that, through, we went to Cozumel, we went to Roatan, Honduras, and Cayo Costa, and that's going to be the area that this eventually goes. Honestly, sometimes the days don't need to be epic. Maybe watch a classic movie together like Herbie the Love Bug. Oh no, they don't need to be epic. These kids just have a friggin' expectation, and I do the best I can. But I try to have like one nugget a day. That's all. Um, Elliot says there's a category 4 in the Caribbean in June. Let the weather nerd geek out. He'll get to the questions as he can. Yeah, I mean, it really is remarkable. That's not my focus, right? Like we talked about this yesterday. We're going to talk about the fact that there's a category 4 hurricane. But like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you how wild and scary and terrifying, bloody, bloody, blah this is. Instead, it's like, all right, where's it going? Who's it impacting, right? That's all. All right. Brian, who set that expectation? Brian, I'm going to come over there. I'm doing the best I can. All right, people, that's it. I'll be posting through the day, but for now, just send our prayers to folks that live in those southern windward islands. It's going to be a really crappy day for them, and a lot of lives, unfortunately, are going to be touched from this storm system today. Hopefully, it will somehow thread needles and not impact too many people, but we'll just, we'll be sending as much good vibes as we can. All right. I promise you, through the hurricane season, I will be giving the best imagery and information I can without hype. So let's navigate together, okay? Do not worry. We'll get through every storm together, all right? All right, be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk. I will see you tomorrow morning for Coffee Talk at 8 a.m. Be good, y'all. Take care.